Welcome back to another episode of Raising the Curtain, a Bloomington Normal Theater podcast with Ashley Raylin. Today, we will be interviewing AJ Ainslie. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Raising the Curtain. Today, I'm here with AJ Ainslie, the Marketing Chair of Community Players Theater. How's it going?
Hi, good. How are you?
I'm good. So I know I just kind of name dropped you, but tell us who you are and what you do with Community Players.
Yeah, my name's AJ. I'm the Marketing Chair on the Board of Governors for the Community Players. I'm in charge of making sure people know we exist and knowing what shows are coming up and when and what events and activities we have going on.
So Community Players does do a lot of events outside of just the regular 6-season show. So we're here to talk about something that I think is very exciting, and that is your upcoming Audition Prep Weekend.
Yes. Yeah, so this will be the second installment, I guess, of what I'm trying to bring back in the Audition Prep nights. And so we're extending it to Saturday and Sunday this time. One night for monologues and one night for vocal auditions.
So this is the second time that you are doing this. For individuals who may have been involved the first time around, what is different now other than it being 2 days?
Yeah, I'm going to extend the time slots. It was 10 minutes before. Now it's going to be a full 15. So I feel like people will feel less rushed and just really have that time with the coaches to get that feedback and ask questions and even get to redo their audition piece again. And we're going to have one less coach this time, again, to kind of make the most of that 15-minute time slot.
What are you hoping individuals get out of this event?
Yeah, I want people to walk away feeling more confident in themselves. The reason I wanted to start doing these again is because it's something I was doing in my home, in my own living room, with my friends, to get that confidence on what it's like to sing in front of people.
I always say, because I'm always nervous to go on auditions myself, but that's like the judgment part, if you will. Once you get cast, then you get the confidence instilled back in yourself, right? So it's a little different, but it's always good to have that prep. So what are the requirements? Are there any stipulations for people to participate?
Yeah, the only stipulation for this one is you have to be 18 years or older. I do plan on having one for the younger performers closer to our summer show.
Awesome. So if they are wanting to participate, are they going into this with a song that they want to use for specifically the upcoming show of Young Frankenstein? Is this limited to just Community Players?
No, this is for anybody. If you have an audition at ISU or Heartland Theater or any of the other theaters in town or out of town, you're more than welcome to come. We still want you to come and just be prepared and feel and go into your auditions with that confidence of knowing you can perform in front of people.
The feedback, is that something that is given verbally in front of everyone? Do they get specific feedback via email? Or is it kind of a preference?
It's a preference for sure, yeah. Because we want people to feel comfortable. And I know not everyone is comfortable getting that feedback in front of a bunch of other people. But I still want to give those people the opportunity and the same chance to get the same feedback. So yeah, people will have the option to, we can have those open discussions in front of everybody, or we can have it written down and we can give it to you at the end of the night.
Are they required to attend both nights?
Nope, you can come to one or the other.
And which night is which?
So Saturday will be for monologues and Sundays will be for vocal. And if you do come one night but not the other, you're still welcome to come and just sit in the audience and just be there to support everybody else in the community.
I was just about to ask, is this open to observers if they maybe aren't ready to get on stage and do that yet, but they kind of want to see how it functions, how it operates, and even maybe new people who just kind of want to get their foot in the door and just meet new people but not actually get on stage yet?
Yeah, for sure. We actually had someone like that at our first night. I won't name him, but he came and he sat and he watched because he just wanted to know what the process was. Because I don't believe he's ever auditioned before, and so it was a good experience for him to kind of see what the process is like.
What are the role of, I don't want to use the word judges or coaches because that seems a little too, American Idol X Factor.
Right.
But what is their role
Yeah, their role is to just bring the plethora of experience, and not to name drop, but a certain someone on this podcast was a judge for our first time and is coming back. Not a judge. Is coming
Me,
back.
I am returning.
Yes. You're coming back for hopefully both nights, Saturday
Yes.
and Sunday. Yeah. And you're bringing all your education and all your years of theater experience, and we have Chris Turbin as well as one of our coaches, and that man's been doing theater longer than I think we've been alive.
I think you are correct. Who is the other judge, or do you have the third one solidified yet?
I don't have the third one solidified yet, but I'm hoping it'll be a new person.
Excellent.
Actually, no, that is a lie. Jeff Reedy, the current director of 12 Angry Jurors, will be our third coach for the monologue nights.
Okay, excellent. So myself, Jeff, and Chris for monologue,
Mhm.
and then myself and Chris and TBD for musical.
Yes.
Okay. If you have any friends.
Yeah. I mean, if you have a lot of experience that you want to share and are interested in being a coach, reach out to me. I would love to kind of cycle in new people to get those different points of views.
Yeah, and if I may, going through it the first night, I mean, everyone was very welcoming and very supportive, and everyone, I think, wanted the verbal feedback, because what might apply to one person, someone may not have thought about it that way. And I also think it's a really good way to showcase the different types of voices and the different types of approaches. And I mean, one of my favorite thing is obviously casting, but I really enjoy being able to help people. Like, you sound great, but this may not be the right song choice for this show.
Right.
And helping with not necessarily vocal critique, but suggestions on maybe picking a better song that might be more suited. Or maybe pushing different boundaries to really hone in on what you're saying in that monologue. I think it's really great you're doing a monologue night. I'm a big believer in the monologue.
Yeah, it was a part of the original plan, but there isn't enough time in that 10 minutes.
Yeah,
and even extending it to 15 minutes, it's still just not enough to do both, because they're two just very different disciplines.
They are,
and not everyone who acts sings, and not everyone who sings acts, and so we want to make sure everyone is getting the chance.
Sure. So I was wondering, would you be able to maybe go in a little bit more detail with the monologue portion, purely for the fact of, with vocals, we can say, I don't think this is in your range. Maybe pick a different song for this choice. What are you looking for people to get out of the monologue night? Anything from like diction to how to cold read, anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, those two things, you hit it right on the head. I would love to figure out the logistics to do a cold read night, because
I think that'd be great.
Cold reading is terrifying.
It is.
and I know a lot of places are getting away from it to make sure everything is equitable and people have time to prepare. Because personally, I get very scared when it's a word I don't know and don't know how to pronounce.
Yeah.
So I want to be able to look through the sides before I go, just purely so I don't sound stupid.
and that's also a comfort thing for, I think, people, again, who may have never auditioned. They at least have an idea of something when they walk into this unknown space.
Yes. So hopefully something in the future we can figure out the logistics of making that happen. But yeah, I really want people to come in with something maybe they plan on using in the future, or they've used in the past, or something they just picked randomly because they wanted to come to the night. But I mean, I think it's the same thing with, that song doesn't quite fit you. Well, that monologue doesn't quite fit you.
Yeah.
Let's see you do something softer, or let's see you do something more on the angry side, or whatever. I still think you're going to get that same opportunity of making sure you find something that fits you.
We also all have to keep an open mind of, we don't know what the director is going to look for.
Yes.
So we are looking at your air quote audition.
Yes.
Just from how we would perceive it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because I mean, your auditions for Young Frankenstein are going to be very different than your auditions for Fiddler.
Right.
And every director is going to, like you said, have a very different take on the show. But it's still just understanding the process,
right,
of what an audition is, because you don't know what you're walking into, And especially if you're new and have never been to the theater before, all of a sudden you're walking in and told to get up on the stage and go read something. That's terrifying.
And add that onto the bundle of nerves you probably already are.
And so I think adding in the monologues to the audition prep night is just going to be just as beneficial as we did for the vocals the first time around. And not to brag on myself, but Clara, who was just recently our Golda and Fiddler, came to the audition prep night, and then Audition for Fiddler was cast as Golda, and that's very exciting for me, because she was amazing, and I really hope the audition prep night helped her. But I was really proud of her, and I was very excited to kind of see like one of my little first ducklings go out and get cast, and especially in such a huge role.
Yeah, it was excellent. She was beautiful. I adore her voice. She's got an amazing voice.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mia, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I was going to say, I recalled a face from 12 Angry Jurors that I think was at the first audition prep night, even though it was focused on musical.
Yeah. So funny story, that morning I was actually having coffee with another one of the CPT members, and we were at Coffee Hound downtown, and I had my Rumors shirt on because I was producing Rumors at the time, and I go to the counter and I just hear this like tiny little voice, has that show happened yet? And I was like, oh no, not yet. It's on these dates, and feel free to come to the show. And I was like, oh, are you into theater? And she's like, oh yeah, I got a degree in theater. And I was like, oh really?
Oh wow. Come to the dark side.
Yeah. And she's like, well, I'm new in town. And I'm like, oh really? And so it was the morning of audition prep night, and I told her about it, and she came. And she was the first person to go.
Yeah.
And I was so proud of her because I told her I was like, the only slot we have left is the very first one. And I know that's very nerve-wracking for some people. Nope. She got up there and she was beautiful.
Oh yeah, she was amazing.
And now she's in 12 Angry Jurors, and I'm so excited.
Yeah. And I mean, even those, granted, she sang at that one, but even those 10 minutes of coaching and hearing her re-perform the song, the clarity in her voice was so much better. Maybe that was nerves getting out too.
Right.
But I mean, that at least brought her into the building.
Yeah. Well, and actually she just did the voiceover for the holiday show promo video.
I was wondering who that was. I was like, I don't recognize this voice.
Yep. And I don't know, it just makes me really excited because the audition prep night is something I'm so passionate about. So
yeah, no, I think it's excellent. I think it's something that we all need to do, honestly. So obviously there's more to auditions than vocals.
Yes.
And what's that word? Script reading, monologues. Here we go. Any thoughts of maybe occasionally doing like a choreography night?
Ooh, I've not thought about that, but I think that would be a lot of fun because again, that's something that you can't prepare for.
Right.
You can prepare monologues and you can prepare your songs.
You can workshop so much.
No shame, but I've been preparing my Young Frankenstein audition song for months now.
Good for you.
But when you do choreography, you don't know what it's going to be. So you can go in and it's going to be the hardest 16 count of your life, or it can just be a walk in the park. You don't know.
Exactly. It's all dependent.
But I mean, we have some awesome choreographers.
Even like my brain goes to like, any shows that have like a tap number.
Yeah.
Bring someone in and just teach, some like a basic time step or stuff like that, just so people at least have an idea of it coming in.
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely for sure. I'll definitely keep that in mind.
Well, there we go. Sweet. So when is the event happening?
Yeah, so it'll be December 16th and 17th at 6:30 on both evenings. There will be a Facebook event that will have the sign up geniuses that you can go in and then reserve your time slot. I think there's about 14 slots each night.
Okay.
So limited space. And they do fill up quickly. So definitely reserve your slot. I encourage everyone to come both nights just because it's nice to see a group of supportive people. And as my husband likes to say, progress happens at the speed of vulnerability. And the more people you can be vulnerable in front of, the better you're going to be, And it's just nice to know that you have a community behind you.
Right.
And so I think that's really important as well. And so if your time slot's 2 hours into the night, please still come at right at 6:30 and be there for everybody else, and stay when you're done and just support the other people. Of course, you don't have to, but it'd be really great if you did.
Right. So what do people have to prepare? Let's start with the monologue night first.
Yeah. So just a 2 to 3 minute monologue of whatever you want. I mean, if you want to do something comedic, if you want to do something dramatic, you do what you feel is right and what you want your feedback on, and that's really all that you need for your monologues.
Excellent. So what about vocal night?
Vocal night, a 1 to 2 minute audition cut of whatever song of your choosing. I do ask that if you want a backtrack, send me either a copy of the song or a YouTube link with the timestamps, and I can get that all lined up for the evening. And if you don't get that to me, you're going to be singing a cappella.
I was just about to ask, is a cappella okay?
Yep, a cappella is absolutely fine. But yeah, we will not have an accompanist.
Anything else you'd like to add about the event?
No, just again, how passionate I am about this. Got involved in the theater kind of on the back end of COVID, just because I wanted to be a part of something again. And at that point, I hadn't done theater in like 10 years. Like high school. Once Upon a Mattress was the last thing I did in high school. And so I actually reached out to you because we worked together like 5 years prior.
Back in the day.
We
don't talk about age.
And I assistant costume elf with you.
And Matilda, right?
And Matilda.
You did Matilda with me.
Yeah. So yeah, it was Elf, and then I auditioned for Mamma Mia, which was the whole reason I went to the CPT. Yeah. That was the show I wanted to be in. And I remember going into that audition, and again, I hadn't auditioned in 10 years. And I didn't know what to expect. And those particular auditions were in our green room instead of on the stage, and that's very different.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing with community players is they do leave it up to the discretion of the director. I know for me, I do closed auditions, but they're closed on the stage.
Yeah, and the second musical I auditioned for was JCS that you directed, and that was my first time auditioning on the stage. Yeah, and it was terrifying. Yeah, and then it would have been nice to be able to get in the space
exactly
and feel just how big it is when there's not a full audience.
Right. It's weird. You take all the people out of it, and it feels almost more daunting because it's purely your voice encompassing that room.
Yes.
That is terrifying.
And so my 2 audition experiences for musicals were very different.
And then I also know there's other people. Marsha may have done this for Newsies. I'm not 100% sure, but those were, I know they did it for Fiddler. Those were completely open auditions.
Yes.
Where you performed in front of everybody.
Yep. And it was really, I think, kind of in Newsies where I started to push this idea, and I brought it to the board.
I remember you talking to me about it.
And it partially because they were like, oh yeah, Newsies were open auditions. And I was like, what? They're like, yeah, you sing in front of everybody that's auditioning. Yep. And that's scary.
It is very scary.
Because, I mean, you are competing. Air quotes. I know you can't see me, but air quotes.
Right. We all feel like we're being judged.
Yeah.
And it's like, one of my professors in my auditioning class in my master's program, and I was the only master's student in there. It was all undergrads. But one thing that she said that I was very surprised a lot of them. The people on the other side of the table want you to do good. Yeah. Your peers want you to do good.
Yes.
And believe me, you coming in and giving me a killer audition and making my decision 1,000 times harder is much better than me trying to feel like I have to pull people.
Yeah.
So we all want you to do good.
Yeah. Yeah. I want everybody that goes up on that stage, whether we're going for the same role or opposite roles or whatever, I want everybody to go up there and do their best and feel comfortable and feel like they're having fun. Because that's what the theater is there for, is for us to go have fun.
Yeah.
And I tell people all the time, theater gives me a sense of meaning. Does it make me happy all the time? Nope. There are lots of tears.
That's theater. It's emotions. It's stories. It's life.
But seeing the people leave the shows and how happy they are and seeing the castmates and how happy they are, that's what gives me meaning and gets me through those stressful times and makes me want to make these audition prep nights and all these events, because I want people to have that same safe space that I have.
Yeah. And I mean, everyone's emotions are valid. Nerves are a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Not to turn this on myself. Second night of JCS auditions, I was in the bathroom with a panic attack because I was just shocked at the amount of talent that came out. And it made me like freak out.
Yeah.
So even I was nervous doing that, because it's like, you want to be the person that gives those people the opportunity.
Yes.
You want them to do so good. And sometimes it just doesn't happen. And it sucks so much. But again, nerves are valid. And I know we always say channel your nerves. If you weren't nervous, I'd be very surprised.
I would be nervous for you not being nervous.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And so I think even just a way to, I don't want to use the word suppress, but for lack of a better word, or maybe stifle the nerves just a little bit. Maybe just knock it down a tick is going to be better for everybody, right?
Yeah. And again, it's scary to be in an open audition with a group of people, because your mind is automatically going to go to, you're being judged, and you feel like, they're not thinking positive things about you, but
going focused on the negative.
Yeah, but that's really just not true. And I think these audition prep nights, especially with smaller groups of people, where everyone is so supportive, is going to help kind of, like you said, stifle those nerves.
Yeah, it's a great stepping stone.
It's a good stepping stone. And just being able to sing in front of people, and singing in front of people is very, very different.
It is.
Than like practicing at home or singing in front of your partner or your friends.
Yeah, I think it's great too for people who may not be able to afford vocal lessons, but they feel like they're already coming in with a disadvantage against these people who might be taking vocal lessons. But all of us, at least the coaches, and I'm sure I can speak for Turvin and Jeff, is we have a pretty solid background between the three of us.
Yeah.
I have auditioned and not been cast. I have auditioned and gotten parts I didn't think I was going to get.
Right. I mean, I auditioned for JCS and didn't get cast, and I'm here on your podcast.
Exactly. And it just comes down to those moments of, I just have to fine tune everything. And we discovered from that, it's a learning experience too. We discovered from that, because you were not the only one who auditioned with that song. It's not the greatest audition song.
And but also it's nice these nights to know what directors are looking for. At the beginning, when we were talking, we talked about specifics, but the general idea of what directors are looking for. Are they looking for bigger movements? I can sit up here and read all day, but if I'm standing still and not having any kind of motion, well, I don't know that. I can't watch myself breathe, and so it's nice to know that directors want you to make those big movements, or want you to dictate or project,
and they'll tell you most of the time. I remember for 12 Angry Jurors, it was these 13 mic stands up there, and all they wanted was like the facials. That's what they were looking for, because I mean, it's a pretty stationary show.
Yeah.
They wanted to see those facials, but I know when I went through undergrad, it was like, if you're doing cold reads with someone, move and take up space and initiate a reaction and stuff like that. So it's very different, because I know quite a few directors who were like, no, stand up there and talk. So,
right. And I don't know, are you reading my facial expressions from back in the audience from the stage? I don't know. I don't get to look at my face when I talk.
Yeah. Am I being expressive enough?
Yeah. And it's just nice to get in the head of a director. I am not a director by any means. There's no way I could direct a show, but it's nice to know how a director thinks, and especially having different people come in with different backgrounds and different types of directing, and you just get that plethora of opinions and knowledge and preferences. And
it's also, as much as I hate networking, it's a good networking opportunity. Purely for the fact of, maybe you went through this workshop and you didn't get cast in the next show you auditioned for. That's when you can reach out to you, Turvin, me, and say, hey, can you help me work on this for another audition? I will gladly give you my business card. We will talk.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and not to name drop again, but Dan Megley, his wife
Yeah.
Leah Megley was in JCS, and now I feel like everybody at CPT takes
Everyone
voice
goes to
lessons
Dan.
to Dan. And I mean, I do, no shame. He is amazing. And I met him through Leah, who was at the theater and became a part of it. And so.
Yeah. And some of Dan's students who I have worked with and I've seen how they've advanced is incredible within just a year. So, but that networking opportunity I think is really good too.
It's a good introduction into the theater. Instead of just walking into an audition where you know literally no one.
It's daunting.
And that's terrifying. And having produced a show now and watching new people walk into the lobby and just kind of deer in the headlights and be terrified.
I mean, I've auditioned for shows there for years and I still walk in deer in the headlights. Granted, I don't really audition anymore, but when I do, it's like,
yeah. But you're coming into the space where there's no expectation and no pressure of competition.
Right.
And again, I hate to use that word, but I know that's what a lot of people feel. And so I feel with the audition prep night, it's a easier introduction into your first steps into the CPT and getting to meet new people. And, you know, Mia, again, came and it was awesome. And she met some people and became friends with them. And her and I are friends. And so it was just a really awesome way to meet someone new.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I mean, and we had a couple all the way from Eureka show up. And
that's where I went to school.
Yeah. And they were fantastic and so sweet. And I was so surprised that they just kind of showed up and it was great. And then they came back and saw Fiddler, and I happened to be working the box office that night.
And, that's convenient.
And they had never been to the CPT before. And so
I think that's great that you mentioned that yes, this podcast focuses on Bloomington Normal Theater, and Community Players is a big part of that. But obviously we want listeners from all around. We want people to come audition. You're not required to be a Bloomington Normal resident to audition for any of these theaters. So again, what better way? And chances are, if you are coming to this audition prep night, you're probably going to meet someone who's also done stuff at Heartland, at Prairie Fire, with Nomad, stuff like that.
Yeah. Community is much bigger than just the Bloomington Normal community. Yeah. You know, and yeah, no, we want people from all over. And I've met people who have driven in from Decatur for shows, and I'm like, that's a long way.
Yeah, Decatur, Springfield.
Yeah, Springfield, and I know we have several of our members who go to Peoria and do shows. They do. And I want anybody and everybody who, if you've never done a show with the CPT and you don't plan on doing a show with the CPT, I don't care. Still come, hang out. It doesn't matter.
Work on a monologue for your Heartland audition or something like that.
Yeah, or your Wesleyan audition or your ISU audition, or if you're auditioning for something in Chicago. I don't care.
Yeah.
I just want you to come in and just hang out and share your talent with us so we can share.
And we might learn something.
Exactly. So we can share our talent and share our expertise with you. Because I learned so much just from watching everybody else audition.
One of my favorite things about watching people audition is I never would have thought to use that for an audition piece. Or what is that from? Because that's real good.
Yeah.
Stuff, and just discovering those new things that, hey, that could work for my voice.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Or,
and you know, picking a song, you know, we touched on this, and it's hard. That fits the show, that fits what the director wants, and that fits your voice. Yeah. It's so hard. And I'm lucky enough to have you and to have other friends who to tell me. Not even give me advice, just to tell me.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm an honest person, I like to think. But I mean, so I remember, I did stuff at Players for a while, and then I obviously went to undergrad. My very first show back was Beauty and the Beast. And I think this story is so funny. But I was working at the Bergner's, if you remember that store. And I found out the last night of auditions that they were doing it. And the only sheet music I had in my car was What You Own from Rent, which is, I mean, not really the best song to audition with for Beauty and the Beast. But I talked to Jolene, we bumped it up an octave, and I wound up being a dancing napkin, and it was great. So, but had I don't know, granted, I found out at work, But, having that repertoire, and I always tell people, if you're actively auditioning, keep a headshot and keep some sheet music in your car. So, but I don't know, those stories are always kind of fun to hear. But.
Yeah. And just speaking of sheet music, I'm glad you brought that up. You don't have to bring sheet music to the night. It doesn't have to be memorized, but it doesn't have to not be memorized.
Right. You can hold the music and it'll be okay.
Yep.
You can hold the model on.
Yep. It doesn't matter. There is zero pressure to come in with like a fully prepared, memorized beginning to end song.
If you're listening to this and you haven't signed up yet, reach out to AJ and she can maybe get you in contact with maybe myself or Chris or Jeff, and we can give you some monologue recommendations. I have books upon books.
Yep. Also, if you are a member of the CPT, you have access to our library.
Script library,
Script library. And our script library is very extensive because we are a 100-year-old organization.
Yep, it is very massive.
And our historian keeps everything.
Yep. All right, AJ, let's go ahead and just, plug those dates and times one more time and how people can sign up.
Yep, December 16th and 17th at 6:30. Both nights, that's a Saturday and a Sunday. You can go to our Facebook page. We will have an event that will have all the information along with the sign-up geniuses that you can go and reserve your slot. And there will be instructions there on how to send me your music if you want to backtrack. And then just any general questions or if you need any kind of accommodations. My email is on there, but it is marketing@communityplayers.org. And you can reach out to me with any questions you might have.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for doing this, and I hope we have a kick-ass turnout.
Thank you. Me too.
So it'll be great. Thank you, AJ.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you, AJ. To learn more about Community Players Theater and their upcoming shows and events, visit their website, communityplayers.org, and be sure to follow along on their social media. If you are interested in participating or attending the Audition Prep Weekend, sign up via the Facebook event or email AJ at marketing@communityplayers.org. Due to unforeseen circumstances, our interview with Nomad Theater Company has been postponed. Stay tuned as Nomad will kick off the new year with lots of new and exciting information about the organization. Next episode will air on December 20th with local playwright Pamela Morgan. Thank you for listening to Raising the Curtain with Ashley Raylind, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Thanks again for listening, and as always, support live local theater.